of the century.
New Orleans locked down. Hundreds of thousands have fled. But have the lessons of Katrina been learned? Is New Orleans ready for Gustav?
And good evening, I'm Anderson Cooper. I want to welcome viewers from around the world watching on CNN International right now to a special edition of AC 360 live from New Orleans, from the French Quarter. A city largely deserted, a city whose future could hang in the balance tonight. With Hurricane Gustav headed this way, we have reporters and contributors fanned out throughout the area. Among them, Drew Griffin watching the levees here in New Orleans. Gary Tuckman is in New Orleans East. Ali Velshi is in Grand Isle, keeping a watch on Gustav's impact on oil drilling in the Gulf. We also have retired general and CNN contributor Russell Honore, who guided the recovery after Hurricane Katrina. And Chad Myers is tracking it for us. Chad, what's the latest with this storm?
Well, the latest is, Anderson, you're still really looking at these outer bands rolling through your area. And this is the issue that we're going to have for the next few hours. I mean, you're going to have one band after another. And as the bands get closer to what is the center, the eye of the storm, the bands are going to get more violent. They're going to get winds up 60, 70, then eventually maybe 90 to 100 miles per hour, even for you in New Orleans. Now, that said, that's going to be bad for tonight, knocking out power and such, but you're also going to have the threat as these bands rotate in. Some of these storms, individual storms, will be rotating as well, and those are the ones that really will have the potential for tornadoes. We've had that one tornado warning way up there, up near Baton Rouge. That's probably the story for tonight. More stories I think we're going to have about this. They're going to be personal losses in New Iberia, in Homa, in Morgan City. That U.S. that State Route 90 here, all the way down across parts of southeastern Louisiana, that's where the biggest loss is going to come from. That's where most of the homes are going to be damaged, because that's where the Category 3, maybe a Category 4 gusts, that's where they will be as the storm makes landfall for tomorrow. There's one more thing. This is going to be an economic disaster for part of the oil services industry as well. It's Port Fourchon. This is something probably none of you ever heard of. This is where 90% of all the offshore deep water oil comes from. It gets on a ship, it gets in a pipeline, whatever, but it comes through this port. This port is right in the way of 130-mile-per-hour wind. And even only 15% of U.S. imports come through this port. There's an awful lot of oil in the oil services sector. All the services that come from here go out to all those other rigs and fix the rigs when they're broken. This port is going to be literally shut down and probably in some type of ruin, and that is going to put a real hurt on the oil industry. Who knows where oil goes tomorrow when the oil services and the oil futures go up and open tomorrow on the New York Stock Exchange. It is going to probably, and in Chicago, it's also going to be probably something in the who knows, well above $4 where we're talking now. Some people now in the 350s, but I think that's going to be short-lived when we see how much damage Port Fourchon is. It's just going to be a real wreck down there. Anderson?
We'll check in. We'll talk to Ali Velshi a little bit later in this hour about that. He's down there in Grand Isle. We're coming to you tonight from the French Quarter. It's an area that didn't flood during Katrina. It's an area largely deserted tonight. The stores and bars boarded up. Some people have literally locked themselves inside their homes to ride out this storm, but most have fled. Now, all weekend, we've seen roads clogged with cars as hundreds of thousands of people heeded dire warnings from state, local, as well as federal officials. Mayor Ray Nagin estimates as many as 15,000 residents who needed help have already evacuated on buses and trains, something they did not have on hand when Hurricane Katrina hit. Now, the police estimate as many as 10,000 people may stay put. The truth is, no one knows for sure. If you have not already gotten out, time has just about run out. There are no shelters of last resort this time in the city of New Orleans. There's no Superdome. There's no convention center. There's a heavy police presence on the streets, a heavy National Guard presence as well. The mayor has warned looters they will be arrested and taken directly to jail. So far, coordination of various agencies seems much improved from Katrina. President Bush had this to say earlier today.
Know that the American people stand with you, and that we'll face this emergency together.
The anguish and anxiety over Gustav's impending arrival is being felt in places all around this region. It's being felt 1,200 miles away as well. In Minnesota's Twin Cities, the Republican National Convention, set to open tomorrow, will now be an abbreviated session without the president or the vice president.
We have to go from a party event to a call for to the nation for action. action to help our fellow citizens in this time of tragedy and disaster.
Hurricane Gustav's ripple effect is also being felt on the world oil market. Chad Myers mentioned a moment ago, the Gulf of Mexico is home to about a quarter of all the petroleum produced in the United States. Right now, most, if not all, of those facilities are shut down. The workers have been evacuated. Still, great concern about the levees here in New Orleans. Can they hold? Drew Griffin with CNN Special Investigations Unit is keeping them honest. Drew, what do we know?
Well, we know that over here on the West Bank, I'm in Gretna, Anderson, there is major concern for one levee in particular, which is just flat out not ready. Nobody's disputing that. And the problem is that Hurricane Gustav can throw a sucker punch towards this area, one that was not felt in Katrina. It's called the Harvey Canal. And as you're about to see, the folks on the backside of that canal are really worried. First, let's show you the good news. This is the Harvey Canal. And that's new, and that should help a lot of people. What it is a butterfly gate. Those yellow barriers, they will close this way and stop the surge from coming past this point, past the gate, and heading upstream. The problem is everything below this is basically unprotected. Here is that new levee, and it's massive, and you can see once it is complete, it's going to offer a greater amount of protection here on the West Bank, but the problem is it's not complete, nowhere near complete. Look, this is the levee here. It's a makeshift pile of crumpled dirt topped with some sandbags. And the fear is that if a storm surge actually comes up in here, 12 to 18 feet, it could flood the West Bank. And this is what most of the Harvey Canal Channel levee looks like. Not even any sandbags, just really a pile of dirt. And Jefferson Parish Councilman Chris Roberts says it's really unacceptable, because if this storm hits as predicted, it's not going to hold. And are you going to be ticked off if tomorrow we're underwater?
Well, absolutely. You know, this project should have been done decades ago. It's very unfortunate that it was not. We've done everything in our power to try and hold the core to the line to make sure that this happens. It's an unfortunate situation. However, I can tell you though, the one positive is that our flood wall, when it's done, hoping that we don't have any significant problems from this storm, will be the best engineered flood wall that you can possibly have, because it takes into consideration all of the lessons learned from the failures. But that will be a moot point if we end up with areas with 10 to 15 feet of water tomorrow.
And Anderson, that strengthening project for that particular levee they've been talking about it since Hurricane Betsy back in the 60s. The problem is there's been such complacency over on this side of the river because they haven't had any major flooding like they had in Katrina and before. But this time they are expecting flooding, and we'll just have to wait and see how bad it is.
And how big are those gaps? I mean, the gaps where there's not any new levee at all.
It's huge, Anderson. I could have run for a half a mile along that one dirt levee, and south of there in Plaquemines Parish, which is just on the other side of that wall, there was hardly any levee at all. In fact, the dirt was even lower, and there was just a couple of sandbags on the top. It really is exposed. And like I said, they do have they had a complacency about it, because the water never pushed up from that side. What they're expecting with Gustav, or what they were expecting, is that the water this time will push up, that surge will come from south to north through that canal, and if it does, it has nowhere to go except into the West Bank.
Drew Griffin keeping them honest tonight. Drew, thanks very much. We should also point out that even all the work that's been done on the other levees, the levees that were breached or some were overtopped or some just simply failed during Hurricane Katrina, there is still real doubts about those levees. They have not been fully tested. So a lot of people just simply holding their breath tonight to see what this storm brings in terms of storm surge. Now, all day we have seen thousands of Gulf Coast residents heading out, emergency crews moving in. Joining us now is retired Army Lieutenant General Russell Honore. He, of course, directed the military relief effort after Hurricane Katrina hit. General Honore, thanks for being with us. First of all, what do you make of the evacuation efforts as you have seen them proceed thus far?
Well, I think the state and federal folks have done a magnificent job, along with the city and parish presidents. But we just got to continue to remind folks that the evacuation, a good evacuation is get you off to a good start. But an evacuation is like the pregame show the hard part of this is going to happen after as we fight through this storm, as it make contact with landfall, loss of power, flooding, and all the infrastructure failure that will occur if this thing comes ashore at a Category 3.
They had said, city officials, state officials had said there might be as many as 30,000 people who needed evacuation. They estimate help with evacuation. They say they maybe helped 18,000 out on buses and on trains. They say there are maybe as many as 10,000 who remain. How much of a problem is it the fact that we don't know the exact number of the folks who are still here?
Well, I think when we go back and look at this evacuation, local governments and state governments are going to have an opportunity to step the game up to the next level. That maybe we need to have a system in place where we can document who's where, and you know, the process of trying to register people. We got card swipes. I mean, we got technology can fix all of that. You know, we're still dealing with this as an agricultural age problem where somebody got to come sign in, or you talk to somebody on a who's putting something in a computer. All that can be done by card swipe with driver's license, ID cards, or a debit card issued by the FEMA or the Red Cross. I mean, we can apply technology to fix that problem. To get back at the point of how many people, and we don't exactly know, again, that can be fixed by technology. So we need to take it to the next level, I think, is one of the lessons we'll see after we get done with Gustav. And a lot of progress was made since Katrina.
And a lot of folks are probably surprised to hear that there are places where, especially on the West Bank, there are gaps in the levees. There was talk 3 years ago of building better, bigger, stronger. How much confidence do you have in these levees?
Well, you know, Anderson, like you, I've gone to see those levees that were replaced, that where we had overtop or a levee with breach, or you can see that repair work. That looks pretty reputable work. But there's over 300 miles of levee in there, and the priority was to fix what was broke for Katrina. People have to understand that levee system around New Orleans was probably in danger for a long time. When you go out and inspect it and you look at local decisions on what priorities, on what they were going to fix and when they were going to fix it, this is tied up in a whole political system that goes back for years in Louisiana politics. And if the Louisiana governors is not satisfied with that levee, they need to work that, and the mayors and the county officials. But those levees in New Orleans went for years neglected prior to Katrina, and all the work that's been done since Katrina can be applauded, but it does not put enough resources to cover that 300 miles. Some of them private, some of them state-owned, some of them parish-owned. I mean, the levees go the whole gamut in and around Orleans, Plaquemine, and St. Bernard Parish, sir.
Lieutenant General Russell Honoré, pleasure to talk to you. We're going to check in with you throughout this evening for your expertise. Really, no one knows the evacuations and what is required better than him. Before we move on, though, I want to check in also with CNN's Sean Calebs, who, of course, was here during Katrina, never really left. He's been based here for much of these last 3 years. Is New Orleans ready?
It's going to have to be. I mean, that's the bottom line. I think that the government has asked people here to accept a lot of faith. And let's remember, this is a government that at every level, federal, state, and local, let these people down time and time again. It was a trifecta of disasters, if you will. So basically, the government is saying, you have to trust us. Well, so far, things have gone well. The evacuation...
There's a new governor who seems much more on top of things, frankly, than the last governor.
Well, there's no question about that. And clearly, we remember George Bush being briefed. He kind of had a 1,000-yard stare as they were explaining what could happen here. And Ray Nagin, he had a meltdown the day the storm really hit here. We've seen him very cool, calm, and collected this time. However, it's these unknowns people don't know about. The levees are very vulnerable. You really can't stress that. The general talked about it, more than 350 miles of levees around here. You can't guarantee all that's going to work. It takes one little area to give way and then flood the city. Now, all day long, I've been thinking about all these people we talked to the past 3 years, people who have invested everything, emotionally, financially, to try and get their lives back together, try and make something of this city. And you know what? It could all be gone tomorrow. And if that happens...
One of the things that is such a tragedy about the timing of all this is that for the last 6 or 7 months that I've been coming down here, folks seem optimistic. For the first time, there seems to be something in the air. You know, the school system has some major renovations going on. There seems like hope has returned in some quarters, and suddenly this comes along.
Yeah, if you look at the central business district here in the quarter, up in the uptown area, things are good. I mean, tourism's coming back. If you talk to tourists, even at times like this when the economy stinks, people say, look, if I'm going to take a vacation, I feel a responsibility to spend some money down here. If I'm not going to give a charitable donation, I want to help the people down there. But if you go out in New Orleans, East, Gentilly, Lakeview, those areas, I've been in every nook and cranny in this area, and a lot of those areas look like they did right after the hurricane. And so it's difficult. No one knows how many people came back. The whole demographic of this area has changed dramatically. They had as many as like 2% Hispanic beforehand, now as many as 20%. It's a different city, and they're putting a lot of faith in the government, and man, it could be a huge one.
And it may be do or die for this city. I mean, if this city fails this test, if the levees fail this test, people may not want to come back and invest money in it, may not want to come back and try to start again. I
talked to Ray Nagin about that yesterday when we were on the air and said, you know, how can you tell people who've spent everything, you know, come on, give it another chance? And he said, you know, that's a big if. But one guy had the best line, a typical New Orleans line. He said, you know what, you got to keep dancing even if you don't know the steps.
That's good. We'll keep that in mind over the next couple of hours and days. Sean Caleb, thanks. We'll be checking in with Sean a lot. You can also go to the AC360 blog for a ton of blogs of folks from New Orleans. I blogged earlier today. Sean has as well. Just a lot of different people's perspectives, and also people we met 3 years ago during Hurricane Katrina. We asked them to take the time to put a blog. That's at ac360.com. Join us for that. Coming up, we're going to talk to Gary Tuchman with a man who refuses to evacuate, and the reason may surprise you. Also, we'll take a look at Gustav's effect on the Republican National Convention. It was supposed to start tomorrow. It still will, but it will be a very different kind of convention, at least tomorrow. We'll be right back.
Can I get a little help here? Hello. Hey. We all upgraded to Verizon Wireless. Got push to talk and the reliability of the network. That old service is useless now. Careful. Cement.
Don't be the last one standing with another push to talk. Switch to the only one that comes with the network. Activate push to talk on 5 business lines to get these great deals. Verizon Wireless.
Every night you sleep, but your dreams are wide awake. Because ambitions never sleep. Aspirations never sleep. Goals never sleep. Hopes never sleep. Opportunities never sleep. The world never sleeps. That's why we work around the world. That's why we work around the clock to turn dreams into realities. That's why City never sleeps.
Meet Judith Pope Rausch, gold digger. She spends like there's no tomorrow. She also sleeps like there's no tomorrow. Ah, wedded bliss. But what about the rest of us? In the real world, we're lucky to get 6 hours of sleep. So let's get a better 6. Introducing Sealy Posturepedic Pure Embrace, our most advanced sleep system, designed to eliminate tossing and turning so you can get a better 6. Pure Embrace, only at Macy's.
Sakes alive, this is a fine sectional. Who makes it?
Lazy Boy. And right now, you can find great savings throughout the store.
Sectionals, sofas, love seats. What's next? Some cockamamie thing called a chair and a half? I'm gonna stick with the sofa.
The Labor Day sale. Great savings and financing this comfortable won't last long. Comfort, it's what we do. Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries.
Nasal allergy symptoms like congestion can occur at any time, and it's hard to avoid the things that cause them. Prescription Nasonex helps relieve nasal allergy symptoms, like congestion. Maybe that's why nasal allergy sufferers used Nasonex last year.
Side effects were generally mild and included headache, viral infection, sore throat, nosebleeds, and coughing.
For more information, talk to your doctor and ask if Nasonex is the one for you.
The search for truth can take you all over the world.
There's been a lot of speculation about where the Russian troops are. Well, here they are.
There is no map. But you can find a guide here.
It is an incredible story, and it is breaking as we speak.
We're going out on a joint patrol now.
So the truth may be elusive, but the search is always an adventure. Let's go.
Stay with CNN. You'll get all the excitement, all the information.
And welcome back. Our coverage continues. We are live in the French Quarter. The rain has kind of died down. It's just kind of a slight drizzle. If you were watching about an hour ago at the top of our hour, we're literally knocked off the air by this heavy band of rain that came through. We're going to try to stay on as long as we can throughout this night and well through tomorrow as well. Let's check in with Jackie Jarris, though, for a look at the levee situation and also how it may be affected by some of this storm surge. Jackie?
Yeah, Anderson. First of all, like you mentioned, you're kind of on the back edge of this rain now, so you're going to be looking for some better conditions. But out here, we've got another band, so that is probably, maybe an hour or so away from hitting you. So you'll be seeing another round with those stronger winds beginning to push in. But yeah, we want to talk about this levee system. You know, General Honore and Drew Griffin both filing excellent reports there and talking about it. But this is an awesome map that we got from the Times-Picayune, the newspaper there in New Orleans, highlighting 4 major areas of concern where these levees could be breached, and all of them here on the east side of town. And this is what we call the West Bank, though, area. Here's one up by Lake Pontchartrain, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Number 4 is the area that Drew was talking about. This is the Harvey area, and basically they haven't finished building this and protecting it. So if this floods, this is going to be filling up this entire area, we believe. Now, number 1, basically the big issue here, that is going to be the storm surge. There's really no barrier there to prevent the surge from coming in and inundating. And if that happens, that will be getting into the 9th Ward area. Number 2 and number 3 also missing barriers here, and storm surge should get in, and that would be filling in St. Bernard Parish. So this is the big area that we're going to be talking about. And that storm surge, the winds are going to be pushing in from the south and east this time, and that's going to be pushing up that water directly up the Mississippi River. Anderson?
All right, Jackie Jarris, we'll continue to watch the levees. We also want to talk to Ivor Van Heerden from LSU, who we talked to a lot during Hurricane Katrina. He's here. He's going to join us shortly. The hurricane hits. You're out of harm's way. We would love to hear from you. Send us an iReport. Just go to ireport.com or type iReport@CNN.com into your cell phone. Don't take any risks to file any of these iReports. You can do it from wherever you are. Just kind of want to see what you are seeing as this storm approaches. This year's GOP convention is going to be anything but conventional, with all the eyes on Gustav and the Gulf Coast. Republicans today announced they are scaling back and toning down, especially tomorrow. Our Wolf Blitzer is watching them literally rewrite the script as we speak in St. Paul, Minnesota. He joins us now. Wolf, it is tomorrow's going to be a very different day at the Republican convention than we thought.
Right. It was supposed to be the opening kickoff. The president, George Bush, the vice president, Dick Cheney, they were all supposed to be here. They've canceled. The only thing they're going to do tomorrow is have a purely opening session. They're going to gavel it to order and then do some business involving credentials, some of the stuff they need to do to nominate a presidential candidate and a vice presidential candidate. Earlier, we did see Laura Bush on the stage behind me. She came in briefly. She's going to be here tomorrow. We don't know if she's going to speak, what she's going to do. We know that Cindy McCain is on her way here, and Governor Sarah Palin, the vice presidential running mate, she's on her way to St. Paul as well. But tomorrow there's not going to be any politics, and that was ordered by John McCain personally. He now is the leader of the Republican Party, and he didn't think it would be appropriate to do politics as usual at a time of a national emergency, a crisis, a city perhaps underwater, and a whole area along the Gulf Coast in potential harm's way. So they've eliminated the politics tomorrow. As far as Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are concerned, Anderson, they say they're going to play it by ear. They're going to see what happens tomorrow, and then they'll decide what to do Tuesday. They'll see what happens on Tuesday and decide Wednesday and Thursday. The only other thing they legally need to do is to go through the roll call and formally nominate McCain and Palin to be the Republican ticket to challenge Obama and Biden on November 4th. They could do that relatively quickly if they have to. They would like to get back to some sort of formal schedule, some sort of formal convention. That's not going to be possible if the devastation is really serious, because they don't want to be seen as partying and having a good time if there's a crisis along the Gulf Coast. So they're playing it by ear, and they'll make decisions literally day by day. Anderson?
Wolf, one of the things you and I talked about a lot last week at the Democratic convention was whether or not there would be a bounce from Obama's convention. I know you have a new poll. Literally, it came out, I think, at the top of the hour, last hour. What does it show?
Well, I have it right here. In fact, it shows there was really no significant bounce for Barack Obama, despite the huge acceptance speech, 90,000 people or so that packed into that stadium in Denver. The new CNN Opinion Research Corporation poll that has just come out shows Obama right now with 49%, McCain at 48%, and only a week or so ago, before the convention, it was 47-47. So it's basically stayed the same, certainly within the margin of error. And all this poll, this new poll, was taken, all of it, after the Democratic convention, as well as after John McCain announced that Sarah Palin, the governor of Alaska, would be his running mate. So our experts who have studied these numbers, Anderson, suggest there really was no significant bump for Barack Obama. If there was, it was balanced by a little bump for the Republicans because they seem to like Sarah Palin, the governor of Alaska. So this is a dead heat right now nationally as far as our poll is concerned, and it looks like that way, as you know, Anderson, in several of the key battleground states as well. So this is a horse race, and this crisis, Hurricane Gustav, potentially could be a game-changing situation, game-changing development. Unclear who it'll help or who it'll hurt, but it's potentially one of those kinds of things that happen in the middle of a campaign that could seriously, dramatically affect voters' attitudes towards both of these candidates. So we're obviously monitoring this very closely.
All right, well, thanks very much. We'll check in with you probably in our next hour as well. No matter how many times people here are urged to get out, and if you turned on the television anywhere in Louisiana, local television over the last couple of days, you heard the message "get out" just about every couple of seconds. But no matter what, some people simply will not go. CNN's Gary Tuchman spent the day knocking on doors. Tonight he's in New Orleans East. Gary, who did you meet who's actually staying?
Well, Anderson, not very many people. That's the good news. The bad news is one particular gentleman who we met today has decided he is going to stay here in New Orleans East, an area that was absolutely devastated during Hurricane Katrina. There were floodwaters that were higher than any human being. Many people died. Hundreds of homes were damaged. Some of the homes were destroyed. But this one gentleman who we talked with today has decided he has to stay here, and it's for a very unusual and sad reason.
Russell Gore knows there is a mandatory evacuation order, but he's not leaving.
How long have you lived in New Orleans?
52 years.
And how old are you?
52.
He's a proud New Orleanian whose reason for not evacuating is sad and startling. The reasoning involves this woman, his wife of 18 years, Cindy.
She meant the world to me, man. The whole world. That was everything to me.
Russell lives in this home in New Orleans East. It's the same home he rebuilt after it was destroyed during Katrina. He and Cindy were going to evacuate then, but he saw cars not moving on the interstate.
Everything was just crowded and jammed up. And we went there looking and thinking about it. You know, we got a brick house, we could withstand the wind.
But floodwaters started pouring in the house. At first, it was only a foot. Russell told Cindy to climb up these stairs into the attic.
And about 10 minutes later, man, she started begging me to come up in the attic because water had reached my waistline. 10 minutes later, man, I had like almost 9 feet of water in my house.
Russell and Cindy Gore were trapped, like so many people in New Orleans 3 years ago.
I jumped up and ran, grabbed her and set her down. And I said, "Son, don't panic." I said, "Son, we gonna be all right." She sat down beside me. Next thing I know, I was talking to her. She leaned over and she was dead. I did everything I seen on TV that they do to survive a person and tore her shirt off, beat her in the chest, breathing her mouth. She was gone.
Russell says doctors told him she died from stress.
So, Russell, how long were you up here for?
I was up in a day and a half before she died, and I stayed here a day and a half after she died.
Russell was rescued by boat. He's an artist and photographer who is currently helping give food and water to the poor and homeless in New Orleans. One would figure after all he went through, he'd be gone.
No, I'm not planning to evacuate.
He knows he should have left the first time with Cindy. Leaving without her gives him a feeling of guilt. Today is the 3-year anniversary of the day she died.
Guess what? I'm on the other side of life. I'm not on the beginning side of life. I'm on the other side of life.
Why not just go away for a couple days, come back, you know?
It ain't a party, dude. This is personal. Until you have someone that you love like I love, die in your arms and do what happened. It's just like losing a son on the battlefield.
You feel like you owe it to her to stay here?
I feel like I owe it to her. I ain't running. Don't get me wrong.
New Orleans East is very dark tonight, but it's not dark because the power's out. It's dark because the evacuation appears to have been very successful. These are inhabited homes behind me, and the people have left. But right here, I'm standing right now in front of Russell Gore's home, and Russell Gore still has the lights on because he's still staying, and it's getting very late if he wants to leave. The outer bands came in, as we've talked about, Anderson. It was uncanny, the timing. This program began at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock local time. It was sunny at 7:58 Eastern. At 8 o'clock, the clouds opened up. We had the first deluge. The more outer bands are coming shortly. He has to get out of here if he wants to, but I don't think he's leaving. I think he's going to stay in the very same house where his wife died 3 years ago.
The memories and the commitment to this area run deep. Gary Tuckman, thank you for that. Few people know more about hurricanes, the impact of hurricanes on this part of the world, and my guest right now, Ivor Van Heerden. He's the Deputy Director of the Hurricane Center at Louisiana State University. He all but predicted the devastation of Hurricane Katrina. We had worked a lot with Professor Van Heerden in those terrible days and weeks after Katrina, and I would say it's great to see you again. I'm sorry that we're seeing you under these circumstances. The levees on the West Bank, what do we expect?
Well, these are levees that haven't been tested. They unfortunately are very low. The system is not complete. There are some levee sections that are only 5 feet high. Earthen levees that are going to be facing a very, very well-developed wave field from the winds and with the water levels right at the crest. So from the west bank of New Orleans all the way across to Morgan City, almost 50 miles, we're going to see communities potentially go underwater from levee overtopping and potential
breaching. Do we know how deep underwater they'll go?
Some of the initial models are suggesting some communities could go 5 feet underwater.
In terms of oil production and the entire Gulf, this has major impact.
Yeah, not only does it have an impact on offshore structures and then the loop facility where oil is imported in the United States, but we have hundreds and hundreds of pipelines that come ashore through Louisiana. There's going to be very significant shoreline erosion, so that means potential of pipeline rupture. So we could see, Louisiana has 40% of the domestic production of oil and gas shut off for an extended period. Obviously, gas prices could skyrocket.
For days now, officials have been saying, look, this is a serious storm. You got to get out. I have not heard them give numbers of potential fatalities. You actually have it modeled out of how many people you think may drown. And we should point out there may be as many as 10,000 people in the city of New Orleans, but Lieutenant Governor Landrieu in our last hour was saying there may be as many as 100,000 people in all of southeastern Louisiana.
Our initial estimates were about 96,000.
People remaining.
Yeah, and that would mean probably about 100 would drown or die.
So your computer models show you think as many as 100 people could drown?
Yeah, that's from one of our graduate student studies, yes.
What is the takeaway from all of this? I mean, what is the lesson? We know the lessons of Katrina. I'm not sure all of them have been heeded. What are the lessons of this storm already?
What we need to take away from this is that we have to restore the coast. You know, we got Katrina and Rita. This is the final wake-up call. If we had restored this coast, if we had managed the lower Mississippi River in order to enhance wetland growth, we wouldn't be having this.
Because those wetlands act as a natural barrier.
They knock the stuffing out of the surge. The barrier islands strip them up. The wetlands, the marsh knocks it down fairly significantly. But we used to have tens of thousands of acres of cypress swamp. And when the surge hits this, it's like a barrier. It just falls. And we, as a country, as a nation, need to understand the value of Louisiana, oil and gas, the port facilities, and so on. And let's get the Mississippi River back into the wetlands and restore the coast so we don't have to go through these sorts of disasters.
Dr. Van Heerden, you were right about Katrina. We're going to pay close attention to what you say over the next couple days, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you again. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming all the way down here, risking the storm to be here. Appreciate that a lot.
Thanks.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, we want to talk to him next. He is live checking in with the hospital situation. A number of hospitals have chosen not to evacuate. We'll check in with Sanjay, who's outside Tulane University Hospital, in a moment. We'll be right back.
CNN's complete
coverage of Gustav continues. As it marches toward the Gulf Coast, with Katrina still fresh in residents' minds, CNN tracks the storm's projected path, preparations, and evacuations. When the weather is the news, stay with CNN and CNN.com.
Pets all across America are now putting up their paws because they want to get Pedi Paws. Pedi Paws is the new, fast, easy, and gentle way to give your pet a perfect pedicure in just minutes. For years, pets have suffered through the injuries caused by conventional nail clippers because the nail contains sensitive tissue called the quick. Regular clippers cut blindly and are inaccurate, causing injury. In addition, regular clippers pinch down on sensitive nerves, causing pain, and can leave your pet's nails jagged and rough. But Pedi Paws is designed to give your pet a proper and gentle filing, removing the enamel in thin layers, perfectly controlled, so your pet is perfectly safe. In seconds, sharp and jagged edges are gone. So no more scratches for you, and your floors and your furniture stay looking new. Designed with a smooth rotary action and a protective guard, so it's easy to use, and there's no mess.
As a veterinarian, it's very important to me that we don't cause pain, and it's very common when you do cut the nails to cut it too short. With the Pedi Paws, it guides you so that you're not likely to cause any pain.
Pedi Paws, I mean, the nail fits right in there. You can't go any further. The dog doesn't fight you where he does with the regular nail clippers. Much better way to do it.
So why not treat your pet like one of the family and give them the ultimate at-home grooming experience? Call now and get the Pedi Paws for your pet for only $19.99. That's less than one trip to the groomers. As an added bonus, you'll also receive the amazing Shed Ender, the professional de-shedding tool for dogs and cats. It removes shedding hair trapped in the undercoat and makes their top coat shine. A $15 value, yours as a bonus. Just pay shipping. That's right, you get both for only $19.99, but you have to call now.
To order by credit card, call 1-800-295-2017. But call now. We're giving away a bonus Shed Ender with today's orders. So call 1-800-295-2017. That's 1-800-295-2017. Call now.
Oh, I must be careful. Oh, that's a nice picture.
Come on, Anna.
Okay.
Foreclosure doesn't affect just you. It affects your whole family, too. If you've fallen behind on your mortgage, we can help. Call 1-888-995-HOPE because nothing is worse than doing nothing.
Closed captioning hours provided by Vonage. For a better way to phone, call 877-4Vonage.
How much can you save on your phone bill with Vonage? Vonage saves you up to $300 a year. Call 877-4Vonage or go online to 4Vonage.com. Larry King, all next week at midnight. It's a post-convention counterpunch with the King.
The Republicans have their say. Now it's the Democrats. Join me at a special time.
Larry King Live. CNN all next week at midnight.
And welcome back. We're live from the French Quarter tonight, waiting for this next band of the storm to hit around 8 o'clock. As Gary Tuckman mentioned a few moments ago, we were literally knocked off the air when one of the outer bands of the storm came along. There was another reporter from WWL, an affiliate here, who was outside when the wind suddenly kicked in. Within a matter of moments, they suddenly whipped up. Let's take a look at his video.
The Gad Shaban is on the lakefront.
Begad, you can already see the gloomy weather coming in behind you.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Mike and Lucy. Right now we're on the south side of Lake Pontchartrain. To my right, 17th Street Canal. Of course, the levee breach there following Hurricane Katrina certainly devastate this community. And to my left, a pretty eerie sight, as you all can see those dark clouds coming in. You can already feel the wind, the strong breeze. But actually, believe it or not, it didn't take us long to actually find some residents in this community who are still here, including one man who says he and his wife are not going to evacuate.
And we feel comfortable that this is all the agony of evacuation.
Guys, we're actually getting an extremely strong gust of wind here. We're getting soaked. Lots of rain. The wind really picked up. The clouds are coming in. Extremely ominous scene. We're going to go ahead and toss it back to you guys in the studio.
Absolutely, Begad. Stay safe out there, and we will see you soon. Incredible.
Yeah, get your rain suit.
Amazing. We thought we were the only ones knocked off the air. Clearly, those rain bands were so strong, the satellite literally could not get through that strong outer band of rain. 3 years ago, 1,600 people rode out Katrina at Tulane University Medical Center. Right now, Only the sickest patients are staying put, and each is allowed only one family member to stay with them through the night. Our chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, is at the hospital. Sanjay, what's the situation there?
Well, you know, this particular area, sort of the downtown area where so many of these hospitals are located, is an area that we know too well, Anderson. You can see behind me over here, first of all, the streets are very bare. There's hardly anybody out on the streets. There were some ambulances, a string of ambulances in front of the hospital a short time ago to evacuate the patients. If you look over here to the right, and this is an area, again, that a lot of people will recognize, very eerily quiet. Absolutely no cars on the streets whatsoever. And then just to the right there is Charity Hospital, Anderson. That's a place that we spent so much time 3 years ago. That is a hospital that is now shut down. We are here, as you mentioned, at Tulane Medical Center. The name of the game today has really been evacuations more than anything else, trying to get as many patients out of here as possible while leaving some of the critically ill patients still here in the hospital, Anderson.
And Sanjay, we're seeing pictures of you back in 3 years ago. You did such amazing work at Charity Hospital and other places. That area just flooded down there.
Yeah, it was really remarkable. There were so many patients on the parking structure here 3 years ago, and they were waiting to be evacuated. Patients were requiring ambu bagging with airbags into their lungs for more than a day at a time. It was really remarkable. That area had flooded, Anderson. That hospital still has not opened, and the trickle-down effect of what has happened still over the last 3 years is being felt, even before Gustav. There are patients that are, the hospitals are consistently full. It is hard to get ICU beds. Add on top of that now this new situation with more evacuations necessary.
Sanjay Gupta staying safe tonight. Sanjay, thanks very much. Sanjay, we should point out, received an Emmy for his remarkable coverage of Charity Hospital for what he did during Hurricane Katrina. Up next, we're going to talk to Chad Myers, get the latest track of the storm, exactly when it is going to make landfall and what areas are going to be most affected. We'll talk to him, and we'll take a look at my reporter's notebook. 3 years since Hurricane Katrina, what we have learned and all that we have seen. We'll be right back.
We started with a simple almond. Added roasted pecans, crunchy peanuts, and a hint of sweetness. All in a 100% natural, bite-sized cluster. The result? A truly extraordinary snack. True North.
My mother was diagnosed with brain cancer.
I guess I fell about 14, 16 feet.
Okay, we got insurance, so why don't they just pay for it?
The bills came in, they were astounding.
They just kept coming and coming.
Those are the bills that piled up in excess of $50,000.
I just didn't have the money.
Bankruptcy was my last resort.
It was the worst feeling I've ever had.
We lost our house. We lost everything.
It can happen to anybody. I guess that's a story that everybody should know, and I think something needs to be done about it.
There's no way to hide it.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested.
You know that song, Time in a Bottle? Well, I got time in a bottle just by changing my allergy medicine from Claritin to Zyrtec. Zyrtec's a lot faster. It starts working 2 hours faster than Claritin, and it keeps working for 24 hours on all my allergy symptoms, indoors and out. You know, Zyrtec should put that on the label. Ingredients: 2 hours you didn't have before.
Zyrtec, the fastest 24-hour allergy relief, now without a prescription.
We're having the time of our lives. We're healthy, and we got Medicare supplement insurance for when we're not. And you should see the look on the kids' faces when we pull up in this thing.
Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company. Insure life. Begin today.
When the weather is the news.
Look at how huge this storm is.
Once it's into the Gulf of Mexico, it has to hit someplace.
CNN is there.
If you have diabetes, then you know what this is. It's your lifeline. Luckily for us, these new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is, you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Access Diabetic Supply will send you one of these new meters, no charge. And if you have Medicare, or private insurance, your testing supplies may also be covered. Call Access now to see if you qualify. They bill Medicare or your insurance company directly. There are no upfront costs, and they deliver your supplies right to your door for free. Call now and find out why thousands of people choose Access.
For more information, call 1-800-390-6856. Operators are standing by.
Access is America's choice for diabetic supplies. Call Access today. You'll be glad you did.
Lou Dobbs Independent Convention, a CNN special event, starts September 8th, 7 Eastern.
We have Hurricane Gustav pictures, iReport pictures from the effects of Hurricane Gustav in Haiti. Some of those pictures look like one or two of those might have been from the Dominican Republic as well. Want to check in with Chad Myers at the Severe Weather Center to find out exactly where the storm is now. Chad, we've already had one of those outer bands of the storm at the top at the last hour. What should we expect tonight?
Well, there's another one not that far to your east. I think you'll be wrapped up by the time it does get there, though, because it's still probably 40 miles still east of you at this point. But on the bottom of the screen, we are finding the eye on the radar now. We always find the eye on the satellite. That's no big deal. But when you can find the eye on the radar, that means it's close enough to land that the radar can actually pick it up. Radars don't go very far, a couple hundred miles. And when you can see the eye, you can begin to see it right there, that little wiggle right there. That's the area that we're seeing now, the eye making landfall probably later on into tomorrow afternoon, somewhere between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. The official track is well to the south of New Orleans, but New Orleans is still in the cone. So think of it this way. If it goes on the current track right through and south of New Orleans, probably talking about Category 1 winds, 75-mile-per-hour winds in New Orleans. Every 10 miles that this thing possibly goes closer to you, Anderson, you pick up another 10 miles per hour. So maybe you're 85, 95, and then all the way up to 105 or so. That's where the storm is now, 115. The farther it turns to the left, every 10 miles, you lose 10 miles an hour. If it goes to the left a little bit tonight, it could wiggle. These things wiggle and wobble. They do all the time. Certainly did over Cuba, and it certainly did as it made its way over Haiti. It made a big left-hand turn, almost 100-mile wiggle there, but then 10 miles less. So instead of 75, maybe 65, 55, 45, and that's why you want it to turn as far left as it possibly can. The Hurricane Hunter in the track right now in the storm. We're looking at a couple of tracks here where Katrina was, where Rita was, and this storm kind of right on a diagonal right in between them, and we'll keep watching it tonight to see if that's where it goes. That's what it looks like right now. The eye 220 miles from just south of New Orleans, just south of Metairie there, where the end of that arrow is right now. We'll keep watching it all night long, moving northwest at about 16 to 17 miles per hour.
All right, Chad Myers, thanks for that. We'll check in with you really throughout this night as we try to stay on the air as long as we can. All our reporters all around the entire region. Once the hurricane hits, though, and you're out of harm's way, if you're in this area, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an iReport. Just go to iReport.com or type iReport@cnn.com into your cell phone. But remember, don't take any risks in order to send us some of those iReport pictures. When we come back, we'll take a look back 3 years ago, 3 years now. What have we learned in the last 3 years? And we'll also give the latest on the storm, the latest on the evacuations coming up. Stay tuned.
Decisions. Which Beneful prepared meal tonight? Roasted chicken recipe, savory rice and lamb stew. You're right, tonight is a beef stew kind of night.
Beneful prepared meals. Another healthful, flavorful Beneful.
Start your day with 100% all-natural Florida orange juice. It has almost 25% of your daily recommended fruit and vegetable servings in one 8-ounce glass. Florida orange juice. Healthy, pure, and simple.
You wanted it to work out here. You wanted it to work right now. You wanted free weekends and free hands. You wanted it to do more and cost less. You wanted your email, text messages, GPS, and MP3s. Your favorite websites, your favorite colors. And tomorrow, you'll want even more. Okay.
Across
Across America, people without prescription drug coverage are saving on their medicines with the free Together RX Access card. Here are some of their stories.
This card was so easy. Boom, went in, they verified it, and I got savings right away.
Over 1 million people have signed up so far. So we saved a lot of money in prescriptions using the card.
Very easy. All you do is hand the pharmacist your card.
With my savings, I go shopping. I buy shoes.
Become part of a growing success story. Millions of people are eligible for prescription savings. The Together RX Access program.
It made me feel really good.
What are you eating?
Multigrain Cheerios.
So, trying to watch your weight?
No. Why?
Nothing. It's just the box. It says it's low in fat.
Do I look like I need to watch my weight?
No. It just says it has 110 calories per serving.
Yeah, but there are other reasons why I like it.
I know. It's the box. It just says it's made with 5 whole grains. And that's good, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. What else does the box say?
Box says shut up, Steve.
Multigrain Cheerios cereal, because it tastes good.
Nasal allergy symptoms like congestion can occur at any time, and it's hard to avoid the things that cause them. Prescription Nasonex helps relieve nasal allergy symptoms, like congestion. Maybe that's why 6 million nasal allergy sufferers used Nasonex last year.
Side effects were generally mild and included headache, viral infection, sore throat, nosebleeds, and coughing.
For more information, talk to your doctor and ask if Nasonex is the one for you.
Larry King, all next week at midnight.
The Republicans have their say. Now it's the Democrats. Join me at a special time.
Larry King.
Or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma. Please call the number on your screen now. Mesothelioma is a rare cancer linked to asbestos exposure. Mesothelioma may be caused by breathing in or swallowing asbestos particles. Exposure to asbestos in mills, shipyards, or in the heating, automotive, and construction industries may have put you at risk. People living with you and even people close to you could suffer because of secondhand exposure caused by asbestos dust on you and your clothing. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma, please call the number on your screen for your sake and your loved ones. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma, call now. We are standing by 24 hours a day to take your call in confidence.
Please don't wait. Call now at 1-800-748-7628. That's 1-800-748-7628.
CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Me and my family, we're going to evacuate because we don't want to take any chances.
Well, Gustav is following some deadly footsteps. Almost 3 years ago to the day Hurricane Katrina slammed into New Orleans and the Gulf Coast. It was 3 years ago on Friday. And, of course, Hurricane Katrina altered so many lives forever. Three years since the storm, the memories still burn.
Everywhere we look, absolutely underwater.
This city, this gulf, washed away by the water. In Waveland, homes vanished, tears remained. Rescuers searched for survivors. They found bodies instead.
They've left some of the windows open, so the house would at least kind of air out a little bit, but the smell is actually just getting worse and it's spreading around the neighborhood.
In New Orleans, they waited, lied to, let down, promised help. They lost hope.
We won't help! We won't help!
These were our neighbors, our countrymen, so long ignored, forgotten once again. In water-soaked streets, dogs cried for help. Bodies lay abandoned.
You do find bodies just floating in the water. There's a man over there who's dead on the top of a car.
Thank goodness for the cops and the firemen. Most stayed, did their jobs. Thank goodness for the Coast Guard, who worked night and day. The rescue is going down. We believe there may be at least 2 more people in the house. Slowly, the water receded. Slowly, life returned. They searched for bodies. They asked for aid. Months passed, then years. Thank goodness for the volunteers, church groups and charities, students and strangers. We owe them so much. 3 years since the storm, much work still remains. This city is strong, life has returned, but the past is alive, and the memories still burn. Well, the causeway is now closed. The last train has left, so have the buses. State police believe 90 to 95% of the population of Louisiana coast has already fled. Many thousands more from Mississippi, Alabama, and Texas are gone as well. We started to feel the first real effects of Hurricane Gustav just as we were starting this broadcast almost 2 hours ago. The Category 3 hurricane is still more than 200 miles southeast of where I am standing now in the French Quarter. It is heading northwestward at 17 miles an hour. Top sustained winds are 115 miles an hour. If you are hearing this and you are still in the southeastern Louisiana region, it is too late to evacuate. Stay hunkered down where you are. Not many others are about on the streets, save for cops and National Guard, and we are thankful for them. And the mayor has made it clear they're for law and order, public safety, not to rescue people who refuse to leave town. There are not any shelters of last resort this time either in New Orleans. More than 1,000 miles away, Gustav is sending shockwaves through the Republican National Convention. In deference to the crisis, opening day ceremonies tomorrow will be greatly abbreviated and, they say, utterly devoid, we're told, of partisan hoopla. Speeches by President Bush and Vice President Cheney have also been scrapped for now. Plans for other nights are still very much in flux. Our plan is to continue our coverage as long as we can and well into tomorrow. I'll be back in the next hour, weather permitting, with more live from New Orleans. Rick Sanchez is up next in the CNN newsroom.
CNN's complete coverage of Gustav continues as it marches toward the Gulf Coast. With Katrina still fresh in residents' minds, CNN tracks the storm's projected path, preparations, and evacuations. When the weather is the news, stay with CNN and CNN.com.
For years, low-dose aspirin has been a cornerstone of heart attack prevention. Now there's new Bayer with Heart Advantage. Ask your doctor about the only low-dose aspirin product that helps lower the risk of heart attack and lowers cholesterol. Be sure to talk to your doctor before you begin or modify an aspirin regimen.
Everything about you is unique, including your skin. Discover Aveeno Positively Ageless with a breakthrough shiitake complex. It works with your skin's unique chemistry, and it's shown to reduce the look of lines or wrinkles while you sleep. Aveeno Positively Ageless.
There's no way to hide it.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested.
Introducing Activon Maximum Strength Anti-Itch. Maximum Strength Itch medication in a convenient applicator. No messy creams, no itching, no scratching. Powerful itch relief without a prescription. Itchy skin, no more. Remember, Activon Maximum Strength Anti-Itch.
We're having the time of our lives. We're healthy, and we got Medicare supplement insurance for when we're not. And you should see the look on the kids' faces when we pull up in this thing.
Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company. Insure life. Begin today.
10-time Emmy winner Stephen Bochco has created some of television's greatest dramas. Now get ready for his next.
You're a joke. Get him out of here.
Raising the Bar. See the commercial-free premiere tomorrow at 10 after The Closer, only on TNT.
As history happened, more Americans watched CNN than any other broadcast or cable network. That's why CNN equals politics.
CNN's complete coverage of Gustav continues as it marches toward the Gulf Coast. With Katrina still fresh in residents' minds, CNN tracks the storm's projected path, preparations, and evacuations. When the weather is the news, stay with CNN and CNN.com.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Go to CNN.com. Create, debate, connect. Join the forum today at CNN.com/forum.
Out Chris Myers, Fox Sports.
QVC, we've got our 10 Qs.
Oh, okay.
All right. In 1987, who quarterbacked the drive?
John Elway.
Miracle in the Meadowlands.
Pisarcik.
The Hail Mary pass.
Roger Staubach.
Most career TDs thrown.
Brett Favre.
Stadium with the most Super Bowls.
Superdome in New Orleans. Tony Romo of the Chargers and Colts. This is good. I like being tested.
Tom Brady's girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. Changed his career. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Get officially licensed gear, apparel, and game time insights on NFL Shop. Only on QVC.
This season, transform your baseball experience. MLB Extra Innings from DirecTV.
Bring your favorite teams and players right into your living room with up to 80 out-of-market games a week. Put every pitch, every hit, and every play into your rotation today. MLB Extra Innings from DirecTV. Order now. Just 4 payments of $32.25 each. Call 1-800-GET-SPORTS.
Democrats' response to the Republicans. Larry King, CNN, all next week at midnight.
Closed captioning hours provided by Meineke Car Care Center.
Honey, I need a new hobby. You choose.
On guard! Get $40 off any brake service option. Life doesn't always give